Welcome to Sphere.it, episode 4. This is our podcast. We've been speaking with Dan Fiehn about digital transformation in the insurance market. Dan, again, is here today. Thanks for joining me once more.
Hi, Peter. Hello, everyone.
So, this is a bit of a crystal ball episode, actually. We like to see the future. We like to see what's going to happen to the insurance market post all of this great transformation. Maybe go into a little bit of detail around what you've seen or what you're predicting, which would be quite interesting. I think that a lot of the conversations that I'm having are all around claims, really, to be fair. A lot of the work in pricing, I think, generally, the insurance companies are ahead of that. They always have been. They're really good at that. But the claims is where I think there's a lot of opportunity. And I think AI, maybe machine learning, like on a base level, is going to help massively. Again, it's a data problem. It's a process problem. And, you know, let's face it, when you claim, you need it to be smooth because you don't want the worry. Okay, great example. My daughter decided to flood my house only a few months ago by accident. She didn't do it on purpose. But the process that I went through with the insurer that I won't mention was excellent, actually, because it was very quick, snappy. And I want to have that experience if I claim again. So I'm sure data science, AI, machine learning, things like that can help in this process. So crystal ball, do you have one, Dan?
Well, so I think it's fair comments. I think a lot of insurers now are working on claims transformation. You know, that definitely is a common trend across the industry. And there's a lot of cool stuff. So there is a lot of cool stuff. So using your example there about kind of water escapement, you know, for quite some time now, insurers have been putting in smart little devices that they can monitor your water flow and detect water leakage before you know it's going to happen.
Wow.
So
okay.
A way of so that would be a good example where technology meets a need and reducing risk and claims. So. But definitely, there's a lot of kind of transformation in play at the moment.
Yeah. So I mean, these claims adjusters and claims managers, they're very important people in the businesses that they're in, right? So their happiness and being content is quite important. You've got to retain these people, right? Out to claims people, you're regarded highly. Do you see that there's a lot of support in augmenting this type of stuff in their roles? Is there threat or is there like a lot of benefit that these people are seeing? Yeah,
so I started off as a claims handler many moons ago, and back then we were transforming. So it was quite prestigious to be given a dictaphone that used to record your memos and letters to clients in. And of course that used to go to an amazing group of people that used to type those all up and then send those out. But of course technology has made that process streamlined and more obsolete, and now people take emails for granted. And so the same thing will happen with current processes. So some of the kind of repeatable manual tasks will get automated, and then the claims handler will have more technology at their disposal. So it'd be more of an augmentation rather than a kind of a removal of claims handlers and engineers that are making kind of important decisions.
So it's more of people in the industry are seeing it more as a benefit than a threat, or
I think naturally because of
there are naysayers, right? There are people that are
always
I don't want this,
and across all walks of life, not just sort of in claims. So I think when something's unknown and you don't know the impacts, and you there's a lot of hype around AI in it and generative AI taking over the world, there's naturally going to be people that are worried. But I think insurance is very complicated. Some of the claims are, subjective. So it's quite hard for a machine. We're quite a long way away from a machine being able to kind of settle really complex claims. So I think.
So for those that don't really understand subjective nature in claims, what do you mean? What is the sort of explanation of that?
Well, there's lots of data, so that you've got context of when the incident happened. You need to, if we had a car accident and you drove into me, you would say it was my fault and I would say it's your fault. So someone needs to then look at the facts and take other kind of information to determine who's right. Very difficult for a machine to do that. And so actually you do need a highly trained, highly skilled individual that can make a decision and then agree what is the appropriate settlement. So I think there are examples where claims are very repetitive and the outcome's quite binary, like a yes or no, and then that's prime for machines to automate and so to make straight through kind of decisions. But there's always these complicated grey areas where they will need people. I think we're a long way away from kind of machines taking over the whole of insurance.
Yeah, I think it just comes down, for me, my personal preference is always to have a human that I'm speaking to, right? Especially, imagine, what I felt like when that flood happened, right? I've just done my house up. My daughter was in bits. I was actually away at a conference. I get a phone call from my wife telling me that this has happened. And I had to go online and I simply filled out a form which said I need to make a claim. And then within 5 minutes, I had someone on the phone to me and it was all person to person, right? And I think that's really valuable and I think that would always be needed. And I'm just wondering if over-engineering that is a requirement.
Yeah, so 100%. So I think insurance, we buy it out of necessity. It's a distressed purchase. It's not something that we kind of want to do, but when we then need to call on that then it often is a traumatic event and you do want that human contact, but then actually you want to choose the channel that you want to engage with an insurer. So some people it's by phone, some people it might be online, some people, so you need to offer your customers choice, and then you need to be consistent across all of those channels. But once you've made a decision, actually some people then would prefer, just pay it quick. You don't need to, you don't want to constantly be chasing, you don't want to constantly finding out what's happening. So I think there's elements of the customer journey where you're right, you need that human interaction, and there's other parts where you just want it done quickly and efficiently and accurately. And I think that's where the transformation's happening. It's companies understanding the processes that they can make faster, that are repetitive, and those that need the human care and attention to then get it kind of right. Because at the end of the day, retention is really important. So if you had a bad experience with your daughter's claim, you're less likely to insure with that person. But if you've had a good one, like now, you're talking about it positively. Offline, we say, well, who was that? And then we'd probably look to buy insurance with them. So I think it has a really instrumental impact on back into the buying side of...
Yeah, it's where the money flows, right? Because at the end, the insurance companies exist to make money. And if you have or am I wrong in that?
Well, of course, they need to be profitable enterprises, but I think there's a perception that insurance companies have lots of money, and I think the margins are really small. So I think, and that's another driver for the transformation, it's to keep the costs as low as possible, so the premiums are kept as low as possible, and
to retain the customer for a longer period of time.
Yeah. So I think that is a myth that it's just a money making enterprise and at the cost of the individual.
Yeah. I can understand how people might see it that way, because you say it's a stress buy, isn't it?
Well, also it's. That's how we've been grown up. That's how we've been, because of the bad experiences, there's a kind of loss of trust. So actually with some of this new technology, as the customer experiences improve over time, people's trust will improve. When insurer gets to a point where it can be more proactive and prevent incidents from happening, then actually it takes a long time to change reputation, but maybe the industry will eventually, people will think about it in a different manner.
Yeah. I think that sounds like the future to me, that people are going to start believing that, that they're still going to have that personal contact, that person is going to be supported in their role by AI. And I think it's generally an issue that we've all got to tackle in our lives now, with the emergence of ChatGPT and these large language models and how they might affect everybody. I see myself that my role's changed slightly. I've seen the benefit of those kind of things, but I could also see the threat, and we've got to find that happy balance. And I believe that, the companies that find that balance and utilize it in the right way are going to be very successful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some of the, you touched on some of the language models. So some of the kind of interactive chatbots now are amazing. So to be able to, for a customer to be identified, verified that it's them, fast track that to the right person in the organisation, so shorten a call at a point when you might be in distress is invaluable. So some of that technology has been well received by the employees and the customers. The chatbot isn't necessarily doing the whole end-to-end journey, but it's doing the important bit of signposting and getting it to the right person kind of quickly. So you're right, the right use of and the right level of technology in the right journey is where companies are going to differentiate themselves.
I think so too. So, it's been really good to talk about this. I think you summarised it really well in that kind of enablement piece of someone's role, and the importance of that person's role is still true today, right? And I think, like I say, all you claims handlers out there, just be proud of yourselves. You're doing a good job, and it's excellent. So, Dan, really appreciate your time today.
Thanks,
it's been really good, and hopefully we'll see you again very soon.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.